What is up, guys? First video of 2026, and here we are. A new crib. I never really got into my last setup, which was an apartment, but now we got a house, so things are chilling. We got decorations in the back. Maybe I'll go through in detail another time. But yeah, just change the scenery, and I want to do more type of videos like this, so trying a new segment, so here we are. Excuse the way I sound sick because I was sick over Christmas. I'm recovering now, but that's why I sound the way I do. Regardless, I want to do a new segment on this channel going into the new year as a way to dive deeper into my hobbies and show y'all, my interests and explore them. So for those that maybe know me in person, I really like guns and firearms. Not just the shooting aspect, but also the historical aspect and how it can tie into pop culture, such as movies, TV shows, and video games. So what a better way to explore that interest with y'all through a new series. And from the title, you'll know that we are talking about getting right into it. Picture this. You just got done grinding for the past several years. Finally graduating. Now you're ready to enter the job market. But it's 2026 and the younger version of you had no idea how cooked the job market would be today, especially in tech. In between doing leak code, not showering, and surviving off of struggle meals, you love to spend your time and money consuming K-pop. Yes, Korean pop music.
Girl, I'm out here, getting to the money.
Stay with me now. So you decided to take a grad trip and fly to Korea. You just want to see what it's all about, You go there, eat some good food, party it up in Hongdae.
Excuse me.
Oh my god.
You lost it?
After a night out, you're in the subway station trying to make your way back, but you realized you spent all of your money. And then you run into this salesman.
Many months later.
So this is you, and these are the other guys that brought all the guns. And that brings me to what I'll be talking about in this video, my favorite guns from Squid Game. The first gun we'll be taking a look at is the classic and venerable M16A1. Yeah, get those Picatinny rails out of here. We're talking sweet old triangle handguards and a fixed carry handle. The M16A1 was introduced in 1969 as the US military's new standard service rifle. It was used extensively throughout the Vietnam War, not only by American GIs, but by the South Koreans as well. Firing the 5.56 by 45mm caliber, it only made sense that it would replace the older M14, as troops could now carry more ammo and fire more controlled bursts due to the round's lighter weight. Eventually in the 1970s, South Korea pursued a domestic license to produce the M16A1, with the main contractor being Daewoo Precision Industries, better known as S&T Motive today. Eventually in the 80s, the Republic of Korea's army phased out the M16A1 for the K1 and K2 rifles and stored the rest of the rifles away for training or for reserve units. Now for more of the fun and creative part of this video, how did these fine Korean gentlemen get their hands on these weapons, given that South Korea's gun laws are very strict? Time to explore my headcanon. And no, I'm not going to say black market because that would be really boring.
Welcome. Ooh, what you buying?
It all starts with these fellas right here. If these guys agreed to find a mystery island where people played childhood games to the death, all for some cash, I'm willing to bet that they'd get some firearms for you for a bowl of jampong. In the military, you have what is called an armorer. They are in charge of all the small arms for the units. Let's pretend you're the armorer in this situation. The retired Spec Ops dude texts you out of nowhere. The guy that you've looked up to all this time, this legend, texts you, hey, I'm gonna need some firepower. You're like, yes, I can finally have an opportunity to prove myself to these guys, maybe even hang out with them if I get him what he needs. So you gather the rifles, put them in a bag, carry them out, then you turn the corner and someone says, you there, where are you going with those rifles? You have 3 seconds to answer. 2, 1, the right answer is, oh, I was just moving these rifles to the foreign aid shipment. Ooh, you didn't think about that, did ya? Well, if you didn't know, when a country provides aid to another country in terms of military support, one way is through the exchange of small arms. This can be in the form of offloading older, surplus rifles to that country. A real-world example of this is how the M16A1 can be found in the Malaysian military through an assistance program from the US in the 60s and through the 70s. Now back to how these guys got them. They probably could have snuck some off the shipment beforehand or had someone in that country receiving that aid send the rifles to a secret location to be picked up later. That would be my best bet. Oh, hey look, an M16. I won't dive too deep into detail on this exact rifle, as that will be for another video in the future, but I just wanted to showcase my H&R M16A1 with surplus furniture on it. Now, I won't promise I'll have every gun for every video in this segment, but that'll be the goal. Now for the cool and interesting stuff that I found while researching Korean M16A1s. Earlier I mentioned that South Korea is still hanging on to their old M16A1s for training purposes. Well, here are some photos that I found on Reddit posted by reservists. This one still looks to be in pretty decent condition. Now these next photos I thought were really cool. Here we are seeing the rifle being used in training, but it's been heavily retrofitted and modernized. First thing I noticed was the use of a carry handle Picatinny adapter, which allows for the use of modern optics. Move forward a little bit and you'll see a quad rail that allows him to mount a laser aiming module. You'd think that height over bore would be an issue here, but it kinda makes sense. You can see when he shoulders the rifle, the optic is already in line with his eyes. There's no need to break posture. Reminds me of the popular riser mounts that allow optics to sit higher for this exact purpose, which is especially helpful when shooting under night vision. I found this Korean graphic that shows the actual attachments and different components used in the modernization of the M16A1. Now I don't claim to be an optics or attachments wizard, but some of these I've never seen in my life. But I think it'd be pretty cool to clone one of these reservist rifles as a project. One last thing, circling back to the part where I mentioned sending weapons as foreign military aid, you can still find 1970s Malaysian export M16A1s today. The receiver is destroyed, but the other parts can still be salvaged and used for a build. The second favorite gun in Squid Game that I would like to talk about today is the Type 68.
Wait a sec, I think that's a Chinese Type 56. If you take a look at the rivet pattern, it's diagonal instead of next to each other. Also, look at the front sight, it's hooded instead of open.
Yeah, well, I wanted to bring some attention to the North Korean variant, as this is as close as we're going to get geographically, pop culturally, media-wise, to talking about it. There are all sorts of AKs from across the world, and with different films out there, we can go over the different types at another time. Now for a brief history on North Korean AKs. After the Korean War, their close allies, the Soviet Union, helped them in their mission to rearm themselves. The Soviet Union provided the North Koreans training, machinery, and tooling, as well as technical data packages needed to successfully begin production. In 1958, North Korea had one of their first manufactured firearms, the Type 58. This was their version of the Russian AK-47. Later in 1968, they would go on to make the Type 68 as a replacement since manufacturing was more efficient. Notice the difference in the receiver used. The Type 58 used a milled receiver, whereas the Type 68 used a stamped receiver. If you don't know the difference, simply put, milled receivers are, well, milled. They start out as blocks of metal and material is machined away to create the receiver. Stamped receivers start out being flat and are pressed into shape. Each has their own benefits and drawbacks. Now as to how they acquired them, to keep it simple, I'm going to assume that they acquired it through the same methods as they acquired the M16A1s. But not so much in that these Type 68s were being transferred to an allied nation as aid. Typically, a country's troops would be trained or at least familiarized with small arms of their direct foreign adversaries. Even more so in Tier 1 Special Operations units, that being the case for these guys. Maybe a handful of these rifles stopped working and had to be cycled out. As always, I'm sure they knew a guy. Now, if y'all didn't know already, I'm very much an AK guy. Part of the reason why I wanted to feature the North Korean Type 68 in a video is because some of the parts kits started circulating in the US a few years back. They definitely were on my radar, and I've been intrigued with them ever since. They were often listed as Asian contract rifle kits, but after some detective work, those in the community agreed that these did in fact come from North Korea. For some context, a sizable portion of North Korea's economy is arms trade. Their customers include countries in the Middle East as well as Africa. I mean, take a look at this photo showing someone carrying the Type 68 in Zimbabwe. As for these kits, it was rumored that they came through Lebanon or other nearby countries. A lot of these kits are not in pristine condition by any means. Those that got them built out describe the fittings and finish as crude, with furniture often being damaged and some parts even being mismatched and not original to North Korea. But to be honest, I think the amalgamation of imperfections is what gives these kit builds their charm. I have a couple AK variants I still want to get, but this is definitely up there. Well, that's all I gotta talk about today, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I know Squid Game has a lot of other guns, a lot of famous guns, but if I talked about every single one of them, this series would be over pretty quickly. Anyways, hope y'all learned something and enjoyed. Peace.